Welcome to Talking Giants, presented by DraftKings. I'm your host, Bobby Skinner, here with my co-host, Justin Pennick, and we got ourselves a little Giants versus the Raiders preview. We're going to have Danny King on later for our fantasy draft, Giant factors, and spread picks, and then Matt Holder of SB Nation will come on for a little quick interview previewing the matchup from the Raiders side. Justin, how are you feeling? I feel like we should be in a bad mood right now, but I don't know why, but recording the preview pod every week on Thursday afternoon, it just puts me in a good mood. I don't know. I feel like it's christening the weekend for me.
Yeah. I'll be back at MetLife this weekend. It's getting colder, getting chillier. That's why I got my sweatshirt on. Bobby Skinner, by the time you come up here, if it's going to be trending in this downward direction of getting cold, you are going to be chilly. You're going to be really, really chilly. But I'll be there. David Powis. I'll be hanging out with Snacks in Parking Lot L. Come find us. And yeah, you know what? Thursday afternoon, you take the records away. The Giants just played the Chiefs really well on the road. They're coming back home against a team that is traveling across the country. I'm still looking at this game saying, you know what? There's some ways that this team can win. The Raiders are, I think, a little bit worse than what their record says, but also they are a solid football team as well. I'm going to put it out there right now. Spoiler alert for game predictions. I think the Giants are winning this weekend.
I like it. It's we'll see. Well, I mean, it's the week before the bye week, so it's like you got a little rest afterwards of this too. So it's exciting. Justin, before we get into this preview, this episode was brought to you only by one person, but at the same time, this person is acting as many people. His name is EZ. That's just his name. EZ. Not Easy Ingram.
Take it easy.
Not Easy E. He's not beating people's heads in with Louisville Sluggers.
No.
Just easy. But he's the world beater tier.
Wow. That's how you know. Thank you to Easy, because, Bobby, when was the last time that we recorded Talking Giants in back-to-back days?
It was after the Bucks game last year.
Sure. All right. Easy went to
Actually,
Patreon.
no, probably during free agency.
Yeah, news breaks, stuff like that. EZ went to patreon.com/talkinggiants between...
Or draft day and draft night.
That is true. Wednesday night and Thursday at 5:52 p.m.
It was on Thursday.
Between those times, EZ went to patreon.com/talkinggiants. Went to the world beater tier, but just for $2 a month. Get to hang out with us as live as we record the shows. Bobby sends you some magnets, stickers, whatever, and then you have an opportunity to win 2 shirts 2 times a month. Patreon.com/talkinggiants.
All right, Justin, we're playing the Raiders. And they're a good team. You know, they're just kind of like a solid team right now. But on the Giants front, the wide receiver core is like, you look at and you see like every single one's on the injury report. You know, if you include CJ Board, you have 6 that are technically injured. But I actually feel kind of good because Kenny Galladay's on the limited. You know, and Tony's going to play. You know, he's with the hand thing. He'll play through that. John Ross is on limited. Shep and Pettis are going to be out. I'm assuming Shep's going to be out. Pettis, I would assume's out. But, like, you know, you ask me for what 2 wide receivers I want playing, it's Galladay and Tony. Like, those 2 together are a good wide receiver core. And then you have Slayton as well. Like, that's a good trio of wide receivers.
Could we call Tony and Galladay Goonies? The Goonies?
Or the Tolladay.
Tolladay. Happy Tolladays. We just did it and we found it. Happy Tolladays. It's not gonna stick. If we were good, it would stick. It's gonna stick one day. Yeah, it's nice to have Kenny Galladay back. If you want he's coming back. I'm sure of it.
Okay.
I'm willing to bet an insignificant body part.
It helps out Kadarius Toney a ton. It helps out Daniel Jones a ton. It helps out the offensive line a ton because it, you know, pulls that safety, you know, and yeah. You know, as much as people are down on him right now because he was out, he was signed to that contract for a reason, because he's a really good player.
And he was a good player. Was being a good player before he went down with that injury too. And the Plax comparisons continue, Bobby Skinner, because I have a feeling this guy is always going to be on the injury report. He's going to be limited throughout practice the entire week, but hopefully he'll find a way to play on Sunday. So,
yeah, and we haven't got, like you said, you know, this isn't a Kenny Galladay episode, but it's like, yeah, have we gotten that Daniel Jones Kenny Galladay touchdown yet? No, like that sucks. But like you said, Kenny Galladay was producing. He was the best receiver on the team when he was playing. He was averaging a ton of yards per catch,
with a high catch
yards
rate
per game. Yeah, with a high catch rate, close to the highest of his entire career. Shout out Daniel Jones. So, and that was them just not having a ton of chemistry yet. So I'm excited for him. And this Raiders defense is a middle of the pack defense right now.
Yep.
The issue though is, yes, are they middle of the pack? But what they're good at is what scares me is that we're going to do the same conservative stuff. Now it might work because their secondary is not that good. And you can kind of it worked versus the Panthers. It might work versus the Raiders, where the Chiefs are a team you need to attack downfield. Where the Raiders, it could be hey, quick stuff works a lot better. But they have Max Crosby and Yannick Ngakoue, and Max Crosby's playing really well right now. He's only 5 sacks, which isn't great for the defensive end position, but he's top of the league in QB hits with 19 QB hits. And the thing is they do that without blitzing. They blitz the least amount in the entire NFL, Justin, at 12%, the least. And it's by a good margin, the least amount. And that's with them being 6th in pressures and 8th in sacks. So they're able to do that versus not just the bad Giants offensive line, but versus every other team's offensive line. They can almost never blitz and still get to the quarterback.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm no longer going into a game saying, wow, this defense that the Giants are playing this weekend, they're really bad. So I'm expecting this Giants offense to really take advantage of it. I almost feel like it's a crapshoot. It's almost a crapshoot of, when the Giants may break out or have a good game plan, or when they don't, right? You talk about Max Crosby. He's having quite an interesting season because he does have 5 sacks. 3 of them came in one game against the Broncos.
And it was a lot of stunts. They have started stunting you to death, and all of his sacks came on stunts.
And then the other 2 came week 1 against the Baltimore Ravens. He has 19 QB hits. He has 3 games of 5 QB hits. Then the rest of the games are, he split up the other 4 from there. So
he's going to line up on Nate Solder too.
I'm hoping this is not one of those games where, it's a 2-3 sack Max Crosby game and it's a 5 QB hit Max Crosby game, because I think it's more likely that happens rather than the alternative.
It may not be a 2-3 sack game, but he's going to be pressuring because he bull rushes, and it's if you're playing Nate Solder, stop trying to go around him, go through him, and that's what Max Crosby's going to do. Now, again, they're going to stunt a lot. Nate Solder and Will Hernandez have been horrible at that, but I would rather get beat by a stunt than by Nate Solder just getting bull rushed into the quarterback. Now Jones has been good at pocket manipulation this year. We even talked about last week. Yeah, did they have 3 sacks? One was on an RPO that Jones had to kill, so that's not on QB or O-line. And then the other 2 were on the last drive of the game. So they've done a good job of limiting sacks. I wish they would actually accept some more sacks and take some shots, but that's just not what they're going to do.
Yeah. What a world. What a world we're living in, where Daniel Jones' sack rate can be over 20%. He gets sacked 1 out of every 4 plays. And now this year we're actually wishing that he took a few more sacks for the sake of pushing the ball downfield. Which, by the way, in my stats report video, I tried to debunk the whole thing of you need, and need is the key word there. And we talked about this on Wednesday's mailbag show too, but you need, it's needed, a good pass protection offensive line to push the ball down the field. I don't think that's true, because there are a lot of exceptions, and it's actually funny, not to jump the gun, but it's funny how the Raiders' offensive line is bad
Their
as
offense
well.
is horrible. Their offensive line is horrible.
But Derek Carr has been pushing the ball downfield more than he's ever done in his entire career, and he's taken more deep shots at 20-plus yards more than any other quarterback in the National Football League this year. So,
yeah, so there you go. That's actually a great example, and we'll talk about their offense. Here's the thing. We've talked about on these preview pods is you can't count on the running game. But at the same time, the Raiders have the 4th worst rushing defense. They're the 2nd worst in yards per attempt at 4.7 yards per attempt. So am I asking for that? Am I asking for 5 yards a pop and 131 yards? No. But I will say 20 carries for 80 yards would do some real good for this offense, or 18 carries for 72 yards. If you can give us, 15 plus carries of 4, getting 4 yards a pop, being able to, that would do wonders for this offense, especially with the way that they play, because they do like to hand it off. So being able to get those 4 or 5 yards a pop and not getting you behind the sticks in 3rd and 7 where you're not going to, where they're going to not really trying to stretch the field and they're checking down and stuff. Like that will help a lot if you can just have an average run game. It would be good for this offense because it's been bad all year.
Yeah, first down efficiency is something that has been a problem for I feel like for a very long time. The teams that are best on first down and the teams that avoid third down are, some of the best in the National Football League. And, since, Eli Manning started to decline a little bit, the Giants have been one of those teams that have found themselves in third and long situations quite often. So I don't care how it happens, Bobby. I don't care if it's through the run game. The Giants have been one of the more pass-happy teams on early downs this season, which makes me happy. But still, just because you're throwing the ball on early downs doesn't mean that you're efficient on first down. That's not how analytics works. A lot of people like to think, oh, just because you throw the ball a lot means that you're going to win. No, you got to do it well, and you got to have the play calling, the execution, and everything that goes with it. So early down efficiency, that's something that needs to improve. So let's see it. Let's see it this game. I don't care how it happens.
Tony, in the interview with Matt Holder, he talks about I asked him how would you try and attack this defense? He's like, I would use Tony in the slot, and their nickel defender is pretty weak. So Tony, need a big game out of him,
Yeah.
and with Galladay returning from the injury, let's say we don't have much expectation for him, even though I do expect him to play well if he plays. It's like, all right, well, Tony's kind of all we got right now. Slayton's coming off of a 0 catch, 0 yards. Booker's been a decent receiving back the past couple of weeks, but it's not like you're looking like, hey, we got to get Booker involved in the receiving game. So Tony is that one guy who is like, hey man, you can really impact this game from a skill position where it's like no one else, if Galladay's hurt, really is making that difference for you.
Yeah, and without Shep, Tony should be in the slot. There's no more of that conversation of, there's no more of that conversation of how do you balance Shep and Tony? Tony should be lining up majority in the slot, but Bobby just said, he will be lining up.
Tony's
in
not
both.
just a slot receiver. Right. He plays outside. Use him in both ways.
But take advantage of the bad matchup.
Don't use Tony like they did last week, where it's just you're using him in motion on run plays. Use him as a part of the wide receiver game. Use him as a part of the regression. They just didn't do this past week.
I don't understand why they can't put him in motion near the line of scrimmage. Why do you need to motion him in the backfield and put him 5 yards behind the line of scrimmage before the play starts? Motion at the snap at the time the ball is snapped. What's so difficult about that?
We'll do that, but I like what they're doing, and they're manipulating linebackers to help them open up in the run game, and it does help.
No, there's a balance. There's a balance.
It opens up the middle of the field for slants and stuff.
Tony should be moving on the majority of snaps. The majority of snaps. He really should.
It's hard to build that into everything.
Yeah, especially if you have an offense that's from 2008 and 2009. So,
but having the same player just motioning all game I don't think that's that beneficial. And you have to think it's like they're not robots. Like they get tired.
Okay.
So I like the way they use them in motion. I think it's helped with the running game and RPOs and stuff like that. Anything else on our offense versus their defense?
Nope. Derek
Carr. They're second in the league right now in passing yards per game. He's averaging 307 yards per game passing. Derek Carr, like you said, has been attacking deep the past couple of weeks. They have been taking what's in front of them. Derek Carr has been really efficient. He's having a really good year. And they do spread the ball around. Obviously, Ruggs is gone, so that does change their offense. I'm sure that changes the way they throw the ball downfield. Although they do, I think they'll try and use a guy like Zay Jones in that Ruggs role, but it's just not going to have the impact that Henry Ruggs has. But why this offense doesn't scare you? This offense could put up 30 points on the Giants. The biggest difference is they are really bad running the ball. They are really bad running the ball. They're fourth worst in yards per game. They're second worst in yards per carry. They make our running game look good. So you can do too high safety stuff, and I think you can rely on Leonard Williams, Austin Johnson, and Dexter Lawrence stopping the run. And it's if they're not able to run outside, that's when the Giants have had their biggest issues in the run game, is guys running outside of the tackle. So I think we'll be able to hold them, put them behind down, some downs, and it's all right, you just gotta because Derek Carr spreads the ball all around, like you kind of have to have everybody on their P's and Q's. Like this is a big game for whoever plays in the nickel. Darnay Holmes, Xavier McKinney, I'm assuming is not going to play.
No, I don't think he's going to play.
So like you got everyone's kind of got to step up, and I think they might use Aaron Robinson a little more. We weren't expecting much out of him. We weren't expecting anything out of him, and they were playing. He played 9 reps, but they were all early, so I think they're gonna throw some different things at the Raiders, and on third down it'll be a lot of like, hey, press man, you got a Dory 101. You're gonna put Aaron Robinson on a Renfro type, and then you're gonna put James Bradbury on Darren Waller, which we talked about on the preview pod last week. We kind of want Bradbury to play like on Kelsey, right? And we're like, yeah, but we've never done that with a tight end. They did it last week, so I think they'll do it again, especially on third down.
Yeah, and Next Gen put out a pretty cool graphic about Kelsey versus linebackers and Kelsey versus DBs and the splits between those two. And it was dramatic. Like Kelsey was actually really bad against DBs versus linebackers where, I believe it was the completion percentage over expected when he was against linebackers was much higher. Derek Carr, in terms of throwing the ball a lot and, having trouble running the ball, every single game this year, he's had more than 34 passing attempts, except against Denver a couple weeks ago, which the game script of that game, Las Vegas was pretty much in control almost the entire game, and then Denver started to put a little bit of a comeback towards the latter part of the game. But 34 passing attempts every single game so far this season besides one. And the transformation of Derek Carr, just from a football fan standpoint, as somebody who got so much flack, like people were mocking him, and a lot of people that I follow, like analytics people, they were mocking him for how much of a check down Charlie that he is. And 2018-2019, his intended air yards per passing attempt was 6.8 and 6.6 respectively. 2020 and 2021, 8.1 intended air yards per passing attempt in 2020, 9 yards intended air yards per passing attempt this year. He has taken the most deep shots in the entire National Football League. He has the most deep yards. I mean, it is crazy how he has really transformed himself as a quarterback, in spite of having not really that great pass protection in front of him. So really good for Derek Carr, especially to kind of stick that middle finger to a lot of his haters that said, oh, you're just a check down Charlie. You're no more than just a game manager. He's kind of proven it.
F the haters. But you know what? This week I'm going to be a hater on Derek Carr. I want him to suffer. Now, like I said, he spreads the ball around well. Now, they're losing 67 yards per game in Ruggs. But, Ruggs was averaging 67 per game. Waller, 63. Renfro, 57. Brian Edwards, 49. Like, he spreads the ball around well. And I feel like is going to be that's the weakness of the Giants defense, is a QB who spreads it around well. Where a guy like Patrick Mahomes, a guy like Russell Wilson, a guy like Sam Darnold, who's like, hey, these are my guys. These are the guys I want to hit. Those are the defenses I feel good about. And this is why the Raiders offense worries me. More so than the Chiefs, to be honest, is because Derek Carr does spread the ball around. And he finds open guys. Hopefully we can get him into a way where he's forcing it to, a Waller type. But Renfro worries me more than Waller, because it's like nickel corner has been a revolving door this year for the Giants. It's been different every single week. So Renfro's really the one that worries me, because that's going to be the chain mover.
Yeah, Derek Carr, while still throwing the ball deep down the field, relatively deep down the field, still has a completion rate of almost 68%, which is kind of crazy. You typically perceive QBs that maybe like to stretch the field a little bit more. They take the shots, they throw the 50-50 balls. Half the time they're going to be caught, half the time they're not. But for Carr, he's still being very, very efficient. And this Giants defense, they still allow a lot of completions. They'll still allow drives to kind of sustain themselves. But it's really, the Seattle Seahawks formula last year and then the Kansas City Chiefs formula that happened this past week is, when you get to a certain field zone, are you going to clamp down? Against the Seahawks last year, it was when teams got to midfield, they clamped down. This past week against the Chiefs ran 19 plays inside the red zone. They averaged 1.5 yards per play in the red zone. 19 plays the Chiefs ran. So if you get to a certain part of the field against a good offense, is this Patrick Graham defense going to clamp down, or are they going to do what they did to kind of start the season, and are they just going to let other teams, run amok on them no matter what the field zone or no matter what the situation is?
Anything else on their offense?
No, we did forget, though. What's our prediction for Saquon?
He's not playing.
I also agree that he's not playing. This was supposed to be his target week, but
Joe
not
Judge
happening.
basically confirmed in his press conference today that he's not playing.
Not happening.
We also forgot to read the ad.
Yeah. So guess what, guys and gals? I don't like just saying guys. I like saying you all. Everyone.
Have you seen the analytics? It's 99% guys. Even though we have a few ladies.
I don't care. We've gotten a few lady Patreon members recently. So guess what, everyone? When the moment for intimacy arrives, you need to be ready. You got to be Roman ready. You might have just heard Mikey bark in the background. He's going to be coming on the second part of the show. Mikey and I, we've still been spooning in the bed. I got a new mattress. It's a lot harder. That mattress is more Roman ready. When you've been in a relationship for years or you're just getting started, having the confidence that comes from preparation means that you're free to enjoy the moment free. Be free. And when the moment comes, again, you want to be Roman ready, even though you are far from ordinary. That's true. I just talked about making love to my dog. The truth is that ED is really common. In fact, 52% of guys aged 40 to 70 experience some form of erectile dysfunction. So this is what I want you to do. Go to GetRoman.com/JohnBoy right now to speak to a U.S. licensed healthcare professional about erectile dysfunction and get $15 off your first month of treatment. A U.S. licensed healthcare professional. They'll work with you to find the best treatment plan. If medication is appropriate, it ships to you free with 2-day shipping. The process, straightforward, convenient, and discreet. Getting started is simple. GetRoman.com/JohnBoy. Complete an online visit. Connect with that U.S. licensed healthcare provider. GetRoman.com/JohnBoy. Do it today. And if you're prescribed to get $15 off your first month of ED treatment, make sure you're ready to have the confidence and control this fall. Don't fall short in the bedroom. How do you like that? Season joke. Thank you to Roman.
And now, Matt Holder of SB Nation. All right. I went on this guy's show. Well, I was going to mail it in, not do an interview. I was just going to get into the bye week mode. But the guy was a smart guy, and he goes down to the Senior Bowl. So it's like I gotta get another 10, 15 minutes. Matt Holder I was on his podcast earlier, so make sure to go check it out. Matt Holder of Silver and Black Pride, SB Nation for the Raiders. What's going on, man? Eventful week. I'm sure you're excited just to get to watching the actual football on the field.
Yeah, exactly. Definitely excited to talk about something that's a lot less depressing. And a long time no talk, man. Been a couple hours. So
I know. So make sure to go check out myself on his pod. But we'll start with the head, and that's Derek Carr. He's always been like a good QB, and it's when teams aren't winning, you're not really paying attention to them, and
right.
Especially like it's either you're really good in the spotlight or you're bottoming them out, and everyone is laughing. And Derek Carr's and the Raiders have kind of been in that like middling tier for the last few years since that year they went to the playoffs. But this year, Derek Carr's like he's kind of impressing a lot of people. What is it that's impressing people to make a step forward, or is it he's just kind of the same thing but they're winning, so people are noticing it more?
Yeah, I mean, so it's kind of funny. They actually asked both Gruden and Derek Carr at the beginning of the season if they had noticed anything different, and both of them tried to give the answer of it if it's been the same guy, but it just clearly hasn't. He started the year off being a lot more aggressive and taking shots down the field, and I think a lot of teams that was catching a lot of teams by surprise because that's not who he's been in the past. He's kind of got the moniker the last few years of the captain check down and quick to come off his reads and hit those guys in the flats and all that. And then he started the year off just bombing it down the field, and I think was again like being able to play, showing great awareness on his blitz pickups and hitting guys like Henry Ruggs down the field on some deep shots to kind of seal a lot of the games. And then I think teams started sitting back and playing like more coverage, which is what they were doing at the beginning of his career. And he still was trying to hit those bombs. I think part of it was Gruden and his play calling too. And then ever since they've made the switch to Olsen as the offensive coordinator, the play caller, they've used a lot more play action, gotten a lot more modern, taken more what defenses have given them, and kind of picked and choose their shots. And he's been able to find a really balance the last few weeks and kind of really played his way back into the MVP candidate conversation. I mean, Raiders are second in the AFC right now, and offense is rolling, and he's having a hell of a year so far. I think you're muted.
I usually don't do that in interviews. I only do it in the regular pod. Obviously, Darren Waller's the best weapon on that team, but Ruggs is out. And I was looking at the depth chart, and it's like really no one has any wide receiver stats that's on the team besides uh, Zay Jones, and then Edwards. Is Zay and Renfro? So there's only 3 guys right now on like the ESPN depth chart. Zay Jones has always kind of been like a big play guy. I'm not going to say he's going to replicate Ruggs, but do you expect him to like step into that role? Because I mean, even Nelson Aguilar was having some success with Derek Carr last year. I think he was averaging like 20 yards a catch or something crazy.
Yeah, Zay Jones has kind of been around for a few years. This has already been his best year of his time with the Raiders, and he only has about like 5 catches this year. He's had a couple big ones and some big moments. Part of that obviously was he was behind and are buried on the depth chart and wasn't getting a whole lot of playing time. So we'll see what he can bring to the table. We'll see if he can not necessarily fill Henry Ruggs' shoes, but at least kind of make up for some of that and hopefully win down the field. Because, yeah, like you kind of said or alluded to, they only have 3 receivers on the roster including Zay Jones. They just called up Dylan Stoner, who is an undrafted free agent out of Oklahoma State. Stoner had looked all right in the preseason, but even he's not a downfield guy. And they kind of have a lot of guys that are good in the short to intermediate areas, but they lose that guy that can be able to take the top off and force defenses to play back. So I'm hoping Zay Jones can at least make a couple plays maybe early on in the game to get teams to soften up, and the Giants to soften up this weekend, but we'll see what happens. It's definitely a guy where I'm not holding my breath, but I think he can at least be enough to get by for now.
Another guy who you could kind of see, Renfro was probably going to lead the way out of the slot, but outside Brian Edwards, who I think a lot of people liked in the draft, and then it was like, oh, it's going to be a big year, but then it's Renfro and Ruggs and Waller ahead of him. What's the deal with Edwards right now? And do you think he'll make a big step up in involvement with Ruggs out, or is it just like he's kind of what he is?
Yeah, it's kind of was one of the weird things in the beginning of the season where like he actually had like more yards in like the last 2 minutes in overtime of games than he did like in the rest of the entire game. So in the last 12 minutes
game to start the year.
Yeah. So that was the Ravens game. And then like the week after, it's kind of like the same thing where he just like all of a sudden would disappear for 3 quarters. And all of a sudden in the 4th quarter, he's just like some superhero. But I think that his biggest problem is he's not much of a separator. He's much more of those contested catch type of guys where those are, good guys to have on your team, but it's hard to develop a chemistry, develop that trust from Derek Carr because he's not going to be open a whole lot. Carr's going to have to throw him open and throw 50-50 balls. And, him being only a second-year player and, behind Darren Waller and Henry Ruggs at the time and Hunter Renfro, probably doesn't have Carr's trust quite as much. But I think definitely with him, moving up, kind of getting that natural progression, I think they'll try and feed him the ball a little bit more, try and get him more involved in the offense. I think as time goes on, I think him and Derek Carr will develop a little bit more chemistry together. We'll see him emerge a little bit more. He's made some flash plays, really good at the catch point. It's just a matter of him being able to get more looks and be able to break away from cornerbacks because that's kind of where he struggles right now.
I see the run game is struggling for you, or at least it seems, looking at the numbers, we talked during your pod about the offensive line struggling a little bit, but just from the running back point of view, how is like the Jacobs, you guys spent the 1st round pick on him and then gave Kenyon Drake a decent check. How is that duo working together?
So it's kind of a TBD right now because part of it was Jacobs was injured. Jacobs was injured going into the season opener, ended up playing and got limited touches, and then missed the next 2 games. And then Peyton Barber ended up standing up and getting more carries instead of Kenyon Drake, which surprised a lot of people, including myself, because of, like you said, they signed him to a big contract for RB2 and still use him as an RB2 when their RB1 was down. And then hasn't been until like the last 2 weeks, coincidentally, when Olsen has taken over, where they both kind of shared more time. And that was working really well. They were able to use Kenyon Drake in the passing game, get him more involved and get him out in space. And he ended up, I think he scored 3 touchdowns the last 2 weeks, maybe only 2, but those were his first 2 and got more involved. His production has gone way up. And then with Jacobs too, they've gotten him involved in the passing game as well. And they've kind of started to balance it a little bit more. But Jacobs' biggest problem right now is he just can't stay healthy. That's kind of been his MO since he was a rookie. played with a fractured shoulder, ended up missing time as rookie, missed time last year, already has missed time this year. Actually against the Eagles, he left at halftime. He's okay now. He'll play on Sunday, but yeah, he's just kind of in that category of seems like his body's failing him a little bit already, which obviously is not good, which you're hoping for in year 3.
On the defensive side, we know Max Crosby, Yannick Ngakoue. We know the Giants' offensive line's bad, so we know when you have to worry about that. So if you were an offensive coordinator for the Giants, and hey, you kind of got a weak O-line versus some good pass rushers there, what is like the weakness or like the way you would attack the Raiders, or like ways that teams have been successful versus them?
Yeah, I think where teams have been successful, which I don't know how much is going to help with the Giants with what you're talking about, weak offensive line, a lot of injuries up there. It's been running the ball against the Raiders. The Raiders defense is built to stop the pass. Even their defensive tackles are much better pass rushing defensive tackles. Quentin Jefferson has never really been much of a run defender, and he's got put on his back a few times this season. And then Solomon Thomas has had a really good year for them as a pass rusher, just not so much as a run defender. And they really only have one good run defending defensive lineman in Jonathan Hankins. So
yeah, we know him.
Yeah, that's right. As a former Giant, I forgot about that. So he's really the only guy that they have that can stop the run. But then again, with the Giants' offensive line struggles, I'm not sure if that's a viable option, and playing a second string running back, it looks like again. So what I would try and do is try and pepper Kadarius Toney out in the slot, just because he is going to be a guy that's can make plays in space and can make guys miss. The Raiders are starting Nate Hobbs who's a 5th-round pick rookie, but he's played phenomenally this year. He's a guy that will probably be up for a defensive rookie of the year candidate if he keeps it up. And it'll be an interesting battle because one of Hobbs' strengths has been his tackling. So, and obviously Kadarius Toney, being as shifty as he is, can really test that. So it'll be a couple guys who get strength on strength, see who's better. So that's kind of where I would go, see if you can get that rookie involved in many ways as possible. Maybe even in the running game on some jet sweeps and trying to attack the Raiders defense that way.
Well, I mean, Tony's like our only thing we have right now, so I'm glad that that's what you said. So like that's all right. We could get excited about that. Tony can win us the game. I was going to ask you the biggest difference since Gruden left, but you answered it with your Carr question. So I'll just finish off by telling you that I actually told you in our interview, some of my best friends are Raiders fans, but since I've known them, they've only played once, and it was the one time my entire life I was rooting against the Giants because they benched Eli Manning for Geno Smith. That game. So it'll be my first time rooting against the Raiders as a Giants fan. And I was even rooting for the Raiders. Remember that Raiders-Bucks overtime game like 5-6 years ago?
Yep.
I was at that game. That was
oh wow.
And I was there with Raiders and Bucks fans, and they almost tied. And I was, and I'm telling you, my friends, they talk a lot of trash, and I was like begging. I was like, please let this game end in a tie because I want to see how they trash talk each other after a tie. So it ended up happening.
I remember that game. That was Carr had like 500 yards. Raiders had like 200 yards in penalty. I remember.
Yeah, it was the most penalized game in NFL history, I believe. Where can people find you?
You can find me on Twitter, AdamHolder95. Find all my work on silverandblackpride.com to do a lot of written stuff over there. And as you guys alluded to, my own podcast over there if you're interested in some Raiders talk.
Sounds good. And follow him. We're gonna see him down in Mobile, Alabama for the Senior Bowl this year. So maybe we'll link up and do some
definitely
stuff. Thanks, man.
Definitely do a lot of draft stuff too. So looking forward to it.
Hey, better, not better. The Fall Classic is over. It's over. But we got UFC fights, all types of good stuff. We got a lot. I mean, you got football to bet on. I mean, we're going to have our quick picks, our spread picks, fantasy draft. There's all types of stuff you can do. But you got to do it over at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the 2021 World Series. That is over. It's a no-brainer offer, guys. Take a swing at it. Like a swing in a UFC fight. There's so many things you can bet. You could do parlays. Danny, we haven't officially welcomed you on, but what are the fights going on this weekend, and what should people bet on?
Honestly, pretty banger of a card. You got Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington in the main event. That was a fire fight last time. They got Rose Namajunas and Zhang Wei Li in a championship rematch. Honestly, if I'm a betting man, I'm going Kamaru in the main event, and in the women's strawweight, I'm going Rose. I know they're the favorites, but I think they're just better than their two opponents. If you go back and watch their fights, they're both great fights.
Any dirtbags fighting?
I think you got Justin Gaethje and Michael Chandler. I believe that's open in the pay-per-view. Honestly, I'm kind of feeling a little Michael Chandler in that one. Going with the underdog there, he's plus 175. I think Michael Chandler can win you some money.
When's the next Jake Paul fight?
December 18th, he's fighting an actual boxer this time. We have made progress. We got an actual boxer he will be fighting.
What are you talking about? He fought Floyd Mayweather, greatest boxer of all time.
That's Logan Paul.
Well, who's Logan Paul fighting?
Whoever gets in the most money at this point.
Okay. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Use promo code JOHNBOY. Bet just $1 on whatever and win $100 in free bet. Find out a way to do it. That's promo code JOHNBOY at DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the 2021 World Series. Must be 21 or older. New Jersey, Indiana, or Pennsylvania only. New customers only. Minimum $5 deposit, $1 wager required. One per customer. Restrictions apply. See DraftKings.com/sportsbook for details. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Major League Baseball trademarks and copyrights are used with permission of Major League Baseball. Visit MLB.com. All right, we now welcome on Danny King, young Danielson, for weather and trivia. Back in MetLife, back in New Jersey. How are we feeling weather-wise?
Back in that beautiful gray dump. So, Justin, I know you were the one that tweeted after Talking Giants last week that it was raining again. Guess what? It didn't. My weather models are fantastic. Or was that Bobby? Am I wrongly accused of Justin over there?
No, that was
Justin.
That was me.
Justin, it does it every week.
Justin.
I trust your weather. Justin does
Thank you, Bobby. Thank you, Justin. Come on, you got to be able to trust the man in the suit. That's what you got to do.
All right, we also have to say goodbye. We have to say goodbye to Mikey because he is not having it. Not having it this week.
Give him a cigarette, calm him down. Like Lucy was a very relaxed dog because she smoked cigarettes. Maybe Mikey should smoke cigarettes. I stole that joke from the Patreon chat, Red Yeti.
Hey, you know what? Hey, you gotta do what you gotta do. This Sunday at MetLife, even though Justin's not here, even though this pertains the most, it's gonna be mostly cloudy, 53 degrees with winds 6 miles per hour to the northwest. The precipitation probability is 0. So for kickoff, and I'm gonna say this again, kickoff, it's gonna be 0% of precipitation.
It's gonna be 0 degrees.
Justin, 53 degrees, mostly cloudy. Get ready for it. It's not gonna be too cold, I think, but it might be a little brisk, but nothing too cold.
50 degrees feels like ice right now. But at the same time, I'm looking forward to that happening. Oh, by the way, also before we hit the trivia, follow me on Instagram at @BobbySkinner_. I'm like 27 follows away from passing Justin.
You know what? How about we tell everybody to follow Danny King?
Danny doesn't post.
I don't use Instagram.
That doesn't matter.
I mean, if you want to see like my F. Cortland post.
Sunday, I have a high of 70, low of 50. Follow Bobby Skinner on Instagram.
You know,
so close. I mean, you can follow Danny King too, but I'm trying to pass Justin Pennick and Instagram followers.
Nothing special.
Can't let me have anything. He has more than double Twitter followers than me. He promotes his Instagram like no. It's actually kind of embarrassing. You promote it so much.
When's the last time I promoted it from the Instagram?
Oh, come on. You
can't remember.
You just tweeted about it today. Now you're talking about it on the podcast. You probably talked about it on the podcast a couple weeks ago. You
Mamba mentality.
Oh, come on, it's embarrassing.
Danny, any trivia this week?
I do have a trivia question this week. This week's trivia question is, as I change my camera, you might see some crazy things. 6 players hold 2 sacks in a single game against the Oakland/Las Vegas/LA Raiders. Can you name those 6 players?
All 6?
6 players. 6 players.
That's a hell of a trivia question. Jonathan Hankins is one?
No.
Oh, I saw you tweet about Hankins. I thought maybe that is what sparked that.
Can I get the question again? I may edit that out, but can I get the question again?
6 players hold 2 sacks in a single game against the Oakland/Las Vegas Raiders. Can you name those 6 players? Majority of these players are players we do know.
I think it's Justin Tuck, one of them.
1.
Okay.
Dave Tollefson.
No, unfortunately not.
Michael Strahan.
2.
O.C. Manure.
3.
JPP.
No.
Keith Hamilton.
No. Are we out of guesses?
Carl Banks.
No, he has 1.
Lawrence Taylor.
Yes. 2
I don't know. Give us the rest of them.
Jesse Armstead, and a name I forgot to use the Google Translate for to figure out how to pronounce. It is Chad Brzezaki. That's the name I'm going to go with. He played with the Giants from 1994 to 1998. All those 6 players have 2 sacks in a single game against the Oakland and or Las Vegas Raiders. Majority of them are Oakland Raiders, or LA Raiders? I don't know, but those are the 6 players.
Aziz is going to join that list.
Ooh.
So Danny, get it in the drafts right now. Say these players have multi-sack games all against the Raiders. Aziz Ojulari now joins the list. Get that ready.
Quincy Roche is going to join him.
Put in the tweet ready.
All right, fantasy draft. Danny is picking first, Justin second, myself third. Me and Danny were 1 point away from each other last week. I pulled away. I won last week with 47.9 points. I'm at 341 in total. Danny's in second with 325 points. He's about 16 points back after a 33-point outing. And Justin took second last week with 36 points, but he's 94 points back. But you know what? Chip away. All right. Fantasy draft, we pick players from both teams. A good way to highlight matchups. Danny, you do have the first pick this week, which I don't feel like there's a slam dunk pick this week for first. I think this is a very debatable week.
It is a very debatable week, and I know I'm torn between 2 players. I know whichever one I go first, they will not be around on the come around, which is unfortunate. I'm going to go with the position that Giants, you tend to give up a lot of fantasy points to, and that will be the running back position. I will be taking Josh Jacobs with the first pick. I know he had the chest contusion, if I'm reading this correct. He had chest contusion in week 7, but they had the bye week. And the Giants defense surrenders the 10th most points per game to running backs. It's an easy pick in my opinion. Josh Jacobs is the guy.
5th on my big board. They don't run the ball well right now.
I mean, he's got 10 points, 16 points, 15 points, and 15 points. So he's had double-digit games the majority of the season. I think he'll give me points.
I mean, you get 50 yards and a touchdown. That's a solid fantasy day. So
yeah, I view
1-1 though. I had him 5th. Justin, you have the second pick.
Well, I'm glad this guy fell. I didn't think he would fall. I'm taking Darren Waller. I think it just makes the most sense.
For me.
I know there could be a chance where, hey, Bradbury maybe on the tight end again, and that worked last week with Kelsey. But Waller, I think, is a little bit of a better athlete than Travis Kelsey. He's a different kind of tight end. He certainly is going to be getting a lot of volume. I mean, I don't know if you remember week 1, but there was one of these national television primetime games where I think I was watching a Manningcast game for it, where
it was the Ravens game.
Waller got like 75 targets in a single game. That may not be this game, but certainly the Raiders are going to rely on him, especially with losing Ruggs. So give me Waller, my number 1 pick.
Because Danny had my 5th pick on my big board, that means it's my number 2 and my number 3. So I'm going to go Kadarius Toney first, even though he's 3rd, but I want to pick a Giants player first. I mean, this Kadarius Toney. How much more do I need explaining? Now, I'm going to go Hunter Renfrow.
Mm-hmm.
I'm tempted to go someone else because I actually think someone else might have a good game, but I am gonna go Hunter Renfrow. I'm gonna go safe because Toney might not be the safest pick at this point. So I'm gonna go Hunter Renfrow. I mean, I think he's gonna be a lot more involved now that Henry Ruggs is gone, and he was already really revolved. And that's like if there was a weakness of the Giants defense in the secondary, it's the nickel corner. So I'm gonna go Hunter Renfrow with my second pick. Justin.
Torn between 3 different guys here. Tough. Give me Devonte Booker.
Damn, that's the one I wanted. I was very close to taking Booker. I think he's going to have a good game this week. I really do.
Yeah, just at this point, my fantasy season, I want volume, guys that are going to get some volume. And Booker was a little bit of a threat out of the backfield last week. Had a 40-yard receiving play. I think they're finding something a little bit with these dump-off running backs, whether it's screens or whether you're running 15-plus yard route concepts down the field, which Bobby Skinner talks about all the time. That 40-yard Devonte Booker catch that he had last week, it was 2 routes that were 15-plus yards down the field to the right side, and then Booker kind of got that underneath and saw the middle of the field and went. So give me Devonte Booker here.
This Booker is playing the Raiders. I'm kind of regretting not taking Booker on.
Oh, revenge game. Yeah. Hell yeah.
All right, Danny, you got back-to-back picks here.
Back-to-back picks. My first pick, I'm gonna take a Giant. I'm gonna take because I know we think he's gonna play, but I just can't rock with him right now. Bad guy move, but I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna take Evan Ingram. So one of you can have Kenny Galladay. He's all yours. Again, I'll explain Evan Ingram
I'm
later.
not
because,
touching Kenny Galladay. I don't believe that he's going to play.
Yeah, I don't believe it either. And then, because I know the whole Ruggs situation, there's going to have to be an increase somewhere in terms of the Raiders wide receivers. And I'm going to rock Bryan Edwards, the Las Vegas Raiders wide receiver. He had 13 points last week. And obviously, due to the situation regarding Henry Ruggs, there's going to be an increase all around for the Raiders. And you guys said Derek Carr likes to spread the ball around. Bryan Edwards, maybe he might have a touchdown or he might have a halfway decent game.
Yeah, I had Edwards 6th on my big board. You got him 7th. I had Evan Ingram 9th. You got him 6th. So Ingram just doesn't put up yards anymore. So I like Ingram's he's always going to be low for me. Like he used to put up yards. Now he doesn't put up yards.
He scored 10 points last week, and I mean,
with
like
a
when you go,
touchdown though.
Yeah, with a touchdown, obviously, yeah. And then, but like, that's his, what was that? His second touchdown of the season?
First, he had
First
3
touchdown.
catches for 15 yards. Like he gets
Yeah.
And it was like against the Panthers, people were like he had a good game. Did he? Like 3 of the catches were on like 3rd and longs where Jones checked it down, and there were like a couple bootlegs. It was like, what did Ingram really make a difference? I don't think he did.
Not really. If Ingram does well, I'll be able to be like, I believed in him. That's my guy. That's my tight end. And plus, I'm going to have to rock with him because I'm not going to be able to rock with him much longer because he won't be a Giant after this year.
Justin, who are you going?
It's between 2 guys here, but I am going to go with Kenyon Drake. A little bit of a riskier pick, but he's coming off the last 2 weeks. He has 21 fantasy points, 16.9 fantasy points, has 2 touchdowns, got 14 carries against Philly before they had a bye, and he's a little bit of a receiving back too. He's had some 5-catch game, 3-catch games in there. So give me Kenyon Drake. They signed him over this offseason for a reason. They got a little bit of a 2-headed monster, put that in quotation marks, they do, the Las Vegas Raiders at running back.
Great gamesmanship by me by saying I'm not taking Kenny Galladay because I'm taking Kenny Galladay. I was just really hoping he would fall. Would you have taken Kenny Galladay, Justin?
That was my final pick, right?
No,
you got one more.
Oh, well, I was going to take Kenny Galladay on my final pick because I figured that you two weren't going to take him. I believe
That's
you at
why I
face
said
value.
I want to take him because I knew
believed
you
you
would
at
have
face
taken
value.
him. This is smoke screens, people. This is how
Play
you
me
do
like
the
a-
draft.
Play me like a violin.
I'm taking Kenny Galladay with my 3rd pick, smoke screen season. How about that? My 4th pick, I want to go Zay Jones because I'm like, hey, he's going to be their big play threat, but it's like the Giants don't give up big plays like that. Like he's not going to get that. Like Adoree Jackson is not going to get that big play. But it's like if there's one person he could do it, it's him.
Do it.
But what do I do? Like Slayton would be smart, but it's like he had 0-0 last week, and if Kenny Galladay's back, John Ross can maybe be a big play. And I think I hate to say it, but Kyle Rudolph might be the safe bet. I don't know what I want to do. I'm going to go, when in doubt, stay true to your big board. I'm going Darius Slayton. Justin, final pick.
John Ross. Out of principle, I am not taking Kyle Rudolph.
Danny picks Kyle Rudolph every week. Are you picking him again? Are you going to take a Colin Johnson?
Who was the guy last? Who was the guy last? Oh, it was Wayne Gallman that I took him every week and thinking like he's gonna do something this week. He's gonna do something this week. Man, Kyle Rudolph actually did do something last week. I'm not gonna do that, Bobby. I'm gonna follow your lead, and because I'm gonna believe you're not leading me in the wrong direction, I'm gonna take Zay Jones.
Oh yeah, I forgot about Zay Jones. I crossed him off because I thought I actually started to write down Zay Jones for myself, and then I thought about what the Giants don't get a big play.
You
All right,
almost broke your own rule.
That's for the picks. It's once you sit, It's,
okay.
And I hadn't vocalized it yet.
No,
so,
but it's the pen or pencil rule that you have
for the game quick picks.
Oh, okay.
So the guys left off the board: Colin Johnson, Kyle Rudolph, Fabian Moreau, Caden Smith, and back-to-back weeks, guys, that Daniel Jones is playing his former tight end at Duke. Their 3rd-string tight end is remember Daniel Helm, Danny King?
Oh yeah,
number 80. Yeah, Daniel Helm is their 3rd-string tight end. So back-to-back, I have that tweet drafted for Friday morning. There's nothing I love more than useless Daniel Jones Duke connection tweets. Like it's my favorite thing in the world because It's me flexing, being like, yeah, I watched every Daniel Jones Duke game 6 times. What of it? So how about that? All right, to recap, Danny, you have Josh Jacobs, Evan Ingram, Brian Edwards, and Zay Jones. Justin, Darren Waller, Devonte Booker. I love that Booker pick, honestly. Kenyon Drake, John Ross. I have Kadarius Toney, Hunter Renfrow, Kenny Galladay, and Darius Slayton. Giant factors. Danny, you got the first pick this week.
I know we were kind of just crapping on him because he doesn't do much this year. He had his first touchdown last week, but I'm gonna rock with Evan Ingram. Trade deadline passed. He's still here, so clearly the Giants either didn't get anything, I highly doubt that, or they just think he could be something for this offense. I mean, like, he hasn't been, besides that horrible Atlanta game, he's been rather consistent when catching the ball. Granted, he doesn't run anything crazy routes. But, so Evan Ingram will be my Giant factor this week. Look, Giants, they might get Kenny Galladay back, Kadarius Toney. They didn't really involve him last week, which is weird, I guess, coming off the his ankle injury. I think this could be a week Evan Ingram could just have a nice little game, maybe get a touchdown, maybe 2 touchdowns. That's pushing it. I'm pushing it right there if Evan Ingram. But Evan Ingram, you're here for a reason. I feel like you're gonna get paid in the offseason. Nothing crazy, but a team's gonna want you. Make your name out there, show your plays improvement, and be a Giant factor this week, Evan Ingram. I want to be something positive about you because I hated booing you off the field in the Atlanta game. I hated doing that, but it had to be done. So Evan Ingram, be a Giant factor this week, my guy. Be a Giant factor this week.
Were you booing?
Not the first time he went off the field, I was like, nah, that's messed up. But then he had like that. I believe it was the second time I started booing him at that point.
Did you boo, Justin?
You suck.
I'm not a booer.
I was gonna say I don't feel like I've ever like heard or seen you boo. Like,
no, I'm a screamer. I'm a hollerer.
I've never been
I hollered
in like
at John
a huge
Mara
boo situation, but actually no, I'm definitely a booer. All right, Justin, your Giant factor.
I can hear you giving a good boo.
I'm a big like 2 thumbs down while I boo.
Yeah. Snacks likes to use 2 other fingers. Feel like Giant factor this year has been a big skill position fest. I'm gonna change that.
Oh,
Will Hernandez.
Oh,
You're on a contract year, man. I have never been as low on you as ever. Like, this is the lowest that I've ever been on you since your rookie year.
Yeah.
The same issues that we had of you in your rookie year and the same critiques that we had of you in your rookie year, mental issues, speed of the game, not keeping up with things. It's perpetuating themselves, and it's your contract year. It's 2021. Will Hernandez, you're my Giant factor. Go out there and be this offensive line's best guy. That should be expected of you, and it's just not happening right now. Pick up damn stunts. It's been 4 years of the same issue. Pick up a damn stunt. Be a Giant factor. Whenever Crosby's coming over your face and trying to cross your face, slam him to the ground. Be a Giant factor.
Yeah, and they're going to get stunted to death.
2 things. 1, I completely forgot Will Hernandez is in a contract year. And then 2, Will Hernandez, I was leaning towards him being my Giant factor, but last second I was like, I'm screwed. I'm going to go with my boy Evan Ingram.
So we always go like one side of the ball for these Giant factors. And that's why I'm going with a running back, Devonte Booker. Devonte Booker. One, you're playing against your former team in the Raiders, so there's going to be some type of emotions to it. I'm not saying he's in love with that place, but Devonte Booker, because they are the worst rush, like the second worst rushing defense in the NFL. Like, they give up a ton of yards per tote. So Devonte Booker, take advantage. They've been running the ball a little bit better the past couple of weeks, and because we know Jason Garrett's not going to trust this offensive line, you're going to be an outlet. You are going to be hit with checkdowns. Make something out of those plays, which he has done. That long 50-yard pass to last week. The third down versus Carolina that started the touch. That was on during the touchdown drive with the Daniel Jones catch. Those were there. So we need those type of plays out of him. So Devonte Booker, you're my Giant factor. I need you to make some plays. And we're going to do max protect, and teams are starting to sniff that out a little bit. So you'll be the outlet on that too. So Devonte Booker, be a Giant factor. All right, spread picks. We all went 4-4 last week. The listeners went 3-5. Listeners are represented by Brad Van Pelt, former New York Giant. Rest in peace. They are 28-35 on the season. Justin is in last at 25-38. I'm in second at 35-28, and Danny is at first and 39-24. So I'm 4 games back of Danny. I really it's It's not going to happen in 1 week. It's not like fantasy where you have that big swing. But I'm going to keep chipping away at Danny King. I'm going to win this back-to-back years. First game, we got Thursday Night Football. Mike White and the New York Jets at the Indianapolis Colts. Colts minus 10.5. Listeners are going Colts. Danny, who are you going?
This just feels like a game that the Jets are oddly going to keep close. I am starting Carson Wentz at fantasy because Aaron Rodgers let me down this week. So look, what was I going to say? Jets plus 10.5. Mike White, the legend, Hall of Famer. I'm going to be tweeting him like he's like a legend of the game because I got to get likes. Mike White and the Jets cover.
I'm going Jets as well, too. Damn it. If I didn't write it down already on this, because I write mine down before the show, I would have went Colts to go against you because it's like I'm taking a risk. It's like, oh, that's a game I can gain on Danny King. But I actually do think they're going to – it's Thursday Night Football. Like, horrible teams covered the spread on Thursday Night Football. Justin, who do you got?
Well, bad for all of you. I'm going also Jets to cover plus 10.5. So all of you are going to be wrong.
How about that? Listeners are feeling good. We got the Cleveland Browns, who no longer have Odell Beckham Jr. on team because he's a scumbag. At the Cincinnati Bengals. Bengals are favored by 2.5 at home. I'm going Browns just because, dude, I actually watched the Baker press conference the other day, and I felt bad for him, and I got no problem making fun of Baker, but it's like, this dude really just severed the locker room. Like, I can't believe he did this. And everyone else has, to come out and say, we would welcome him back, but it's like, this guy, what an asshole. So I'm gonna go with my guy Baker Mayfield, who's been playing bad, but I'm gonna go Browns plus 2.5 because they do have a really good team. Justin, who do you got in this one?
Going Bengals minus 2.5. Give me the home team. Think they're gonna have a good bounce back game.
Listeners agree with you. Danny, do you agree with Justin?
I unfortunately do. Question for you guys. So like, when do we think Odell's gonna come back to the Giants? Sorry, I'm just being that guy because I find people on Twitter to be dumb that thinking Odell would even want to come back here. Yes, the Bengals minus 2.5.
Odell would want to come back here. Just his pride wouldn't let him.
For as long as Dave John's here,
which actually that's the one thing I don't blame him on. Texans at Dolphins. Weird that they're playing each other the week after the bye or the trade deadline, where it's like they're talking about trading Deshaun Watson. Dolphins are favored by 5.5 at home. Tyrod Taylor's back. Justin, who are you going?
Texans plus 5.5. I actually think that they were playing somewhat well with Tyrod Taylor, and the Dolphins are really, really bad.
That was my exact reasoning too.
Damn.
Danny, are you going with me and Justin, or are you going with the listeners with the Dolphins minus 5.5?
I mean, the Dolphins have been really bad recently.
I don't understand this spread, honestly.
Yeah, this spread is so confusing. I feel like the Texans can kind of keep it close. You know what? No.
They're both 1-7.
You know what? Tua Tagovailoa, he heard the noise. He knows that the Dolphins wanted Deshaun Watson, and he's gonna go out there and just have a game. I think. I'm gonna go Miami. I'm gonna change it up here.
Who are you going in Packers at Chiefs? Chiefs minus 7.5 at home.
Oh God. What's the spread again?
Rodgers, they really ruined this game.
Oh yeah. God damn it, Aaron Rodgers. No. What's the spread again?
Chiefs minus 7.5.
I'm gonna take the Chiefs this week. I mean, hey, maybe Jordan Love goes out there and has a game. It's probably what's gonna happen, but I think the Chiefs. This is a game they'll win.
It'll be interesting to see Jordan Love. But I'm agreeing with you, Justin. Who are you going? You were a big Jordan Love fan, so I feel like you kind of have to take the Packers, like the list.
Gotta go.
Yeah, why not? I have such a terrible record. Let's see a Jordan Love game where he throws the ball 18 times, but what's his face? AJ Dillon gets like 35 rushing attempts.
Yeah, you're actually for some reason you hate Aaron Rodgers, but you were a big Jordan Love fan, so this is a game for you.
This is a coming out party for me.
Yeah. Chargers at Eagles. Chargers are favored by 1.5, minus 1.5 on the road. I'm going Chargers though. I mean, I expect the Chargers to win this game, so I expect them to win by more than 1 point. And the Eagles are just so inconsistent. There's 1 week where it's like, damn, the Eagles put up some points. And then it's like the next week they will score 3 points. But I saw the Eagles scored like 38 points, and Jalen Hurts had like 15 throws or something like crazy like that. Like they were just working the Lions. So I'm going Chargers. Justin, who are you going?
Yeah, I'm going Chargers too. -1.5. It's very strange. A lot of the mid-tier AFC teams, they'll alternate between being the hot team in the AFC and then being cold as ice. So
yeah, and I'm not too high on the Chargers right now either, but it's the Eagles.
The AFC is going to be fun to watch as the second half of the season if there's anybody that can separate themselves from the pack.
Listeners also in Chargers. Danny, are you gonna put our first consensus pick of the week? Which
I always
pretty
rock
late in the game
Chargers.
for that.
Me and my guy Justin Herbert, we get the job done.
Not every week with Justin Herbert. Patriots at Panthers. Justin, who do you got in this one? Patriots are -3.5 on the road.
Kind of think I'm in on the Patriots right now. I kind of think I'm in. Mac Jones has looked pretty solid. You know, they got Jacoby Myers and Damian Harris are two guys that impressed me during the training camp, the joint practices, and lo and behold, they're doing all right too. And you know, for all the crap that Bill Belichick got without Tom Brady last year, I think you're seeing some of it pay off this year, where it's like, you know, well-coached team. They got some guys back from COVID opt-outs. They spent a shit ton of money this offseason. Give me the Pats, -3.5.
Danny, who are you going?
I will also go on Pats -3.5. The Panthers are just not. They gave us the mirage that they were good, and I bought in. And then Sam Darnold saw a ghost at MetLife again, so I can't rock with them.
Wow, back-to-back consensus picks. Myself and the listeners are also going Patriots. No Kyler Murray for the Cardinals at the 49ers. Cardinals favored by 1 on the road. 49ers +1. I'm gonna go 49ers. It seems like they always beat the Cardinals, even when the Cardinals are good and the 49ers are bad. I've been kind of out on the 49ers. I'm not a fan of the 49ers this year, but I am going 49ers +1. Listeners are going Cardinals -1. Danny, who are you going?
Who the heck is even the Cardinals' backup quarterback? Like, do we know that answer?
I meant to look that up before, but I don't know.
I got it right.
I think it's Colt McCoy.
It's the sheriff.
It's Colt McCoy.
Oh,
I feel bad not picking the Cardinals now. I've never seen Danny more excited in his life than finding out Colt McCoy is going to start a game.
Easy money. Colt McCoy out every day of the week.
I wish this was a Thursday night game, thinking now that it's Colt McCoy. Danny, I've never seen you get that excited in your entire life. Like that
because Colt McCoy, he brought me so much joy last year when he beat the Seahawks.
Danny loves backup QBs.
Yeah, I was about to say, Danny, you need to start getting jerseys of every backup QB the Giants has every year.
Oh, God.
Did you get your Tony jersey, by the way, yet?
I had to reorder it because they just said, no, we're not shipping it out to you. I'm like, what the heck you mean you're not shipping it out to me? So I got to reorder my Tony jersey.
Do it. You got to do it, man. Justin, who do you got in this one?
49ers +1.
Me and Justin, we're not. Yeah. And then Titans at Rams. It feels like injuries and COVID have like ruined a lot of matchups this week. Titans at Rams. Rams -7.5 at home. I mean, the Titans don't have Derrick Henry, and I'm going the Rams -7.5. But I can't wait to see Adrian Peterson play for them. Adrian Peterson still has juice. I truly do believe that he's, you know. Is it? Can I say that Adrian Peterson's the best running back of all time?
I think that's fair, especially when you consider that he really came up when the league started to change to very, very passing. I mean, it was already starting to change, but I think he came up at like the perfect time. Because I don't think there's ever going to be I think Derrick Henry's the only exception of there could ever be a running back that's puts up the production of Adrian Peterson. Because they just don't get volume anymore.
I mean, I think he's better than Barry Sanders. I think he's better than the Emmitt Smiths. You know, obviously Barry Sanders has but I really do think Adrian Peterson is the best running back of all time. And they took a season away from him in his prime. You know, with his hitting the kids with the switch. But anyways, I'm going Rams -7.5. Danny, Justin.
I'm going Titans +7.5. I want them to keep it close. I'm rooting for this team to still stay afloat without Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry
for your
really
narrative, for your running back narrative.
No, it is. No, it's true. It's true. I'm rooting for it. But I think they can too. I think if they let Ryan Tannehill throw it a little bit more, throw it downfield a little bit more, and put it more in his hands, you know, it could backfire on him. But it could work too. So I want to see him keep it close on a primetime stage.
Danny, are you agreeing with myself and the listeners or Justin?
I'll agree with you and the listeners. I mean, the Rams just became like NFC. All right, they're the NFC favorites right now, but they'll find a way to lose because the Rams, for some reason, can never get out of the they have a great team, but they can never take that next step to the Super Bowl. They did it in 2019. They haven't been able to do it since.
Predictions for Giants Raiders, Danny King.
Prediction for Giants Raiders. The Raiders are coming off a tough week with obviously the whole situation surrounding losing Henry Ruggs, but they're a team of resilience. They did it with John Gruden. I think they're going to do it again this week. They'll probably beat the Giants. I don't know what the score could even be, though. I'm going to say 24-13. Giants will lose to the Las Vegas Raiders and will head into the bye week with another loss.
Justin.
23-20. Giants win before the bye week.
You guys both mentioned the bye week. You had 2 weeks after the bye week. Decisions can be made, but decisions can be made by Daniel Jones because it hasn't been great the past few weeks. It's been all right, but hasn't been great. Daniel Jones is going to put the team on his back. Giants 77, Raiders 0. We will see you on Monday with a victory podcast. That's the guarantee. We appreciate you guys. We'll see you Monday. Enjoy your weekends. But until then, let's go Big Blue.